Yet another controversial one. Let's do the list of 45 presidents of the United States ranked A through F. Welcome, guys. Brandon here from Terminated Entertainment, and we're back on another Tiermaker. Of course, this is going to be a little bit more controversial because this is another personal preference style one where we're going to rank the 45 presidents of the United States, A through F, in the order that's presented on Tiermaker. So first we have President George W. Bush. I think a lot of people on the Republican side do really like George W. Bush. And I know a lot of people on the Democrat side do not like George W. Bush. Now, I don't necessarily dislike George W. Bush, but he single-handedly did not help in the Great Recession. So I'm going to put him at the D slot. He did not quite fail as president, but he did not do the best that he could. Now, this looks to be James Buchanan, correct? Yes, James Buchanan. Now, James Buchanan is an interesting character. He was president from 1857 to 1861, and he single-handedly helped with the creation of the Civil War. Just for that, he really didn't do a lot in his presidency, and he gets a failing grade. Now we have another pretty famous president, Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter didn't do terrible. He didn't do exceptionally well. I wasn't around during his time, but I think he deserves an average grade. Next, who do we got here? I don't recognize this guy off the face immediately. Let me see here. Who do we have? What is that? Is that? Oh, the next one's easy. That's Grover Cleveland. I guess we'll skip to Grover Cleveland. Grover Cleveland had two terms of president, two separate terms. He won as the 22nd president and as the 24th president. The 23rd being Benjamin Harrison, who didn't... he did last. Never mind. That's not the one that I'm thinking of. Grover Cleveland, he had kind of an uneventful presidency, so we'll give him a C. Now, Bill Clinton, he's got some interesting stuff. The man did bring down national debt by quite a bit during his presidency, but he also had a alleged affair with one of his secretaries. We can't really give him a B due to some controversy in his presidency. We'll give him a C. Calvin Coolidge, a very unknown president in my opinion. He served not quite 2 terms. He took over for Warren Harding in 23 and then went until the Great Depression. Granted, he did not help with the situation, but it was not his fault for the Great Depression, so he will be a C. He's also one of the weirdest sounding presidents on recording. If you ever have a chance to go look up a recording of Calvin Coolidge speaking, he sounds very robotic, like almost machine-like in his tone. Next, we have the only president from Iowa, Herbert Hoover. Now, Hoovervilles were created during his presidency, the term. Great Depression started under his term and did not help. So he's going to get a D. He's kind of like Bush, because the Great Depression really tainted his 4-year term. Of course, Bush had 8 years. Next, we have, which guy is this? This is the one that died really early into his presidency, if I remember correctly. This is... Where are you? William Henry Harrison, right? This is you? Yes, William Henry Harrison. I believe he died a month into his term, if I remember correctly. If I'm remembering correctly who this guy is, he died after catching pneumonia from his long presidential speech. He's kind of got to fail because this is how short his presidency was. Mr. Dwight D. Eisenhower, very, very good president in my opinion. He created the national highways, but also you could look at that. The reason I'm not giving him an A is you can also look at that as he single-handedly contributed to the lack of mass transit in the United States. Next we have the fattest president, as a lot of people like to say, Mr. Taft. William H. Taft. Taft was not quite as great of a president as his predecessor, but he didn't do terrible. He's another one of those presidents that probably gets that average grade. Now, once again, another president that I kind of have to look and cheat a little because I just don't recognize his face. And I still am not getting it. Who are you? Alright, we'll skip over him for somebody that's more known. Like Mr. Gerald Ford here. Gerald Ford took over for Richard Nixon after his start of his second term and was never reelected. I don't know if he even ran for reelection. But Gerald Ford, I don't think I know anything notable from Gerald Ford's. Oh, besides that he pardoned Nixon. Let's give him a D grade just for that. Ulysses S. Grant, he was a war hero, helped immensely in the Reconstruction of the South. Actually, I don't even remember if he's the one that helped with that. Either way, he's he got 2 terms as president. He was our 18th president. Well, let's just put him at C, just to be nice. Warren G. Harding, the first president elected when women got the right to vote 100 years ago. He was the first president elected with women being able to vote for president. He served, I believe, 2 years before he died. And he's known for the Teapot Dome scandal, where he was given a lot of his friends positions in his cabinet and access to money that he kind of really was a corrupter president, so we'll put him down there. Now, this could be... I'm not 100% sure which president this one is just by looking at his photo. From the longer beard, it kind of looks like Rutherford B. Hayes. But that could be wrong. Let's take a look. Rutherford B. Hayes. Oh, I figured out who this guy is. This is Millard Fillmore. He was a Whig Party president for 3 years, taking over for Zachary Taylor's term. Zachary Taylor's term. He never got reelected. I believe he was the last Whig president as well. I don't think he had really anything major in his term. No, I don't think so. So we'll just say D. I guess let's look and see who the hell this guy was. Alright, this is Rutherford B. Hayes. Now, Rutherford B. Hayes was a Republican president. I really don't remember anything good from his term either. Let's just do C. He's just a run-of-the-mill average president. This guy here is James A. Garfield. He served a whopping not even a year as president, so he's automatically going to get a fail. Alright, now we have the famous Andrew Jackson, war hero of 1812. Famous or infamous for the Trail of Tears, but he also helped with the national banks. Let's say C, he balances out. Now I got Thomas Jefferson. He, under his term, ended up expanding the size of the United States immensely, but he is also known partially for the Alien Sedition Act, but overall he's one of our founding fathers. He should be a B president. John Adams. John Adams, first president to live in the White House. He served 1 term as president, and he was a Federalist, the only Federalist president, I believe, whereas after that was Whigs, Democrat, Republicans. Once again, nothing really spectacular sticks out with John Adams in my opinion, but that's just also me doing this on the fly and not really remembering anything about presidents. I do kind of remember some of them. So we got Lincoln's VP who took over for him, which was Andrew Johnson. Andrew Johnson really didn't do bad in the wake of Lincoln, but he's definitely overshadowed by Lincoln. Let's give him a C. JFK didn't live long enough to really fulfill some of the stuff that he wanted to do during his presidency. I mean, he helped us through the Cuban Missile Crisis. He really wasn't a negative spotlight president. I'm going to say he's a B. He also famously said, "We will go to the moon before this decade's out," and NASA landed on the moon in 1969. His successor, Lyndon B. Johnson, signed into act the Civil Rights Act of 1963, correct? I think 63 is when that happens. Gosh, I swear this is just me forgetting things right now. Abraham Lincoln, he's our first A president. Abraham Lincoln was a great man, but there is an argument to be said from this first Republican president that he was very borderline dictatorial in his powers during the Civil War. Now, who do we got here? He looks familiar. This is Benjamin Harrison. Benjamin Harrison, another one of those ones that he seems very just run of the mill. I don't know very much about him, so it's kind of is what it is. James Madison, War of 1812. That's kind of the thing that comes to mind with James Madison. So he's also a founding father. Let's just go with a B grade for James Madison. Next we have, that's William McKinley, if I'm not mistaken. William McKinley, for some of us younger people, might be known well by the One History series that they did about the giant enterprises or capitalism of the early years of like the turn of the mill 1900s. So Andrew Carnegie, Rockefeller, and all of those gentlemen. So William McKinley is kind of looked at with a slightly negative aspect, as he was a president that really allowed a lot of this to go on, whereas his VP was put into position because this was before the VP had power, and his VP is one of the more famous presidents for helping with the progressive movement. So for that, William McKinley is a D president. He was also assassinated during his term. Next we have James Monroe. So James Monroe is another one of those ones. He did serve for 8 years, but he is one of those ones I can't think of anything spectacular about his time as president, or negatively as his time as president. Next we have, I'm not a crook himself, Richard Nixon. He's gonna go on the F. When you have to spy on your political rivals and then your VP that takes over for you ends up partying you, there's a little bit of corruption that goes on. Barack Obama. So Barack Obama got into a rough situation coming off of Bush, starting with the Great Recession. He did hand off a very well and good economy to Donald Trump, our 45th president. But the things that under his presidency that really happened was the split between the parties. The parties have not been at an all-time high of political division until Barack Obama became president. And Donald Trump also didn't help that. Barack Obama did a lot of good things. His implementation of Obamacare was not well implemented, but it is a step in the direction that I believe is correct. But the way he did it was incorrect. Barack Obama, he gets a B grade. I mean, he had a rough coming off of his presidency. It's also sort of like how FDR when he came in. So we'll give him a grade as such. George H.W. Bush, he led us through the Kuwait, so Operation Desert Storm, served one term as president. He really put too much emphasis on Operation Desert Storm. And I feel like he is along with George W. Bush in the lines that he really didn't have such a great handoff to his next president. Next, I believe this is the war hero Zachary Taylor, if I am not mistaken. No, that's Franklin Pierce. I am 100% an idiot. Zachary Taylor is this guy. This is Franklin Pierce. Franklin Pierce is often regarded in a lot of circles as a really bad president. He was very much a Southern president at the time. So I'm going to say he fails. There's just no forgiving a man like that. FDR, he's an A president. There's going to be some controversy around that because the main reason that the Great Depression ended for the United States has a lot to do with being able to retool our economy for war, and that really bailed out FDR with World War II in a way. But FDR also served 4 terms, so he was well liked by the people, and that's what makes a good president, being well liked by your constituents. Alright, who do we have here? Another one of those presidents that I probably don't know very well. James K. Polk. He served during the Mexican-American War, and yeah, that's about it. He's probably run-of-the-mill president as well. Who the heck is this guy? And why do I feel like I should know who that is from that photo? I can't tell because it's kind of small photo. Oh, he's an older guy. Who in the world? That can't be John Quincy Adams, can it? I'm not sure. It does look like John Quincy Adams, and it doesn't look like we've done him yet. Alright, John Quincy Adams. Don't have much to say on him. That's there you go. Ronald Reagan. Reaganomics is the biggest thing that comes to mind with Ronald Reagan. I'm an economics major, and Reaganomics is a huge thing. He served a whole 8 years, 2 terms, as president. He was a well-liked president. I don't see very much wrong with him besides, the over-budgeting of the military. The retooling did matter, but the over-budgeting of the military did not help. But Ronald Reagan is really not a bad president. Alright, now we get to Mr. Zachary Taylor, I believe. I want to make sure, because now I'm starting to second-guess myself on these. Yes, Zachary Taylor. He was a Whig president, served literally a year and 4 months. He really wasn't that good of a president. He's an F. Theodore Roosevelt, he goes along with the other Roosevelt as an A, because Theodore Roosevelt was a progressive person. He went and tried to take down big business and allow free market economy and no monopolies. Alright, time for the most controversial one today. Mr. Donald Trump himself. He is up for election this year, and he's running against Barack Obama's VP, Mr. Joe Biden. So, here's my thoughts on Donald Trump. Donald Trump would do a lot better as a president if he did not have Twitter in his hands. He's done a lot of things that he said he was going to try to do when he was running. He's been one of the most straight-up presidents. He's helped quite a bit, and people don't get to see that part of him because of the man that he is. He's a very immature person when it comes to online speaking. He fits into the trend quite well. One of the recent things that he's done is he's helped coordinate a peace treaty between Israel and Arab nations. A controversial thing he did there was moving the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. He's also not helped with political division in this country, but like I said, that did not start under his presidency. The economy had stayed booming with him, but his response to COVID-19 was not great. He's just an overall probably average president. He really, if you look at the group that he's in with, it probably's fitting. Now, some people say I have him way too high. Some people will say I have him too low. This is where I'm going to put him for now. There's several things that I did not like about his presidency. There's several things I like about his presidency. He's just in the middle for me. Harry Truman. Following FDR is a hard thing to do. But this man served 2 terms after, and he was very instrumental in the foundation of the UN. He's a B. He's not quite as at the level of FDR, but he's up there. Next we have, is this Mr. Tyler, John Tyler, right? Yes, John Tyler. He served for 4 years, and that was it. Yeah, 4 years. Cool, I don't know anything really to talk about with John Tyler. Cool, he's going to go there. Martin Van Buren. He's a 4-year president as well. He was our 8th president. I don't know much about him. George Washington, the founder of the United States of America. Not really, but he was instrumental. He's our first president. He really did a lot for the foundation of the country. He led us on the path. We wouldn't have the democracy we have today without George Washington's input. And you can debate me as much as you want on that. I will not change my opinion on that stance. Alright, let's do Chester A. Arthur first. So Chester A. Arthur served for 4 years. He was our 21st president, just before Grover Cleveland's first term as president. Still just don't know much about Chester A. Arthur. And then Woodrow Wilson. Now, Woodrow Wilson is regarded as a great president in a large amount of circles. Now, Woodrow Wilson beat out Theodore Roosevelt and William Howard Taft. He probably wouldn't have been elected if those two were not running. That's the thing that people probably fail to realize. The reason that Woodrow Wilson won was because there was a split in the Republican Party. Woodrow Wilson, I'm not saying that doesn't mean he probably wouldn't have had a chance of winning, but I doubt he would have won with Teddy Roosevelt and Taft also, with those two bickering back and forth. But Woodrow Wilson served for 8 years. He served during World War I. For the longest time, he kept telling the U.S. people that they would stay out of war, isolated from the war, and then he changed his mind and sent us to war. He was a founding member of the League of Nations, which was a failed experiment, predecessor to the UN. But overall, he was instrumental in his presidency, and under his presidency, women gained the right to vote. So I think Woodrow Wilson rounds out our A-plus presidents, or our A presidents. So there's your list of presidents in what I believe to be the correct grade. If you disagree with me, please let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear your guys' feedback on what you think. Let me know things about some of these presidents that I didn't know much about. I'd love to hear it. As always, please try to keep it civil. This is just my opinion. Of course, I don't say that I'm 100% right on this. This is just me going into this and just being like, okay, hey, this looks cool. Let's try to rate our presidents based on what we know about them. One thing that'd be interesting is to go through and see what each political party is for these presidents, just to kind of see if there's any trend here. But of course, that might end up angering some people, so maybe don't do that. Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed. If so, a rating would be much appreciated. I love doing these, so please leave a like down below if you want to see more of these, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will catch you guys on the next one.
Shut up and sit down.